In 1968, on the early evening of March 9th, 16-year-old Candace Lynn Clothier, a junior at Abraham Lincoln High School, left her home at 9217 Leon Street in Torresdale, Philadelphia, to catch a bus to visit her boyfriend at a gas station where he worked in Mayfair, 3 miles away. But she never arrived. She was wearing olive slacks, loafers, a yellow sweater, and a tan jacket, with $1 in her pocket for the bus fare. She told her parents she would be home before curfew, but she never made it there. When it became apparent she was missing, police first questioned her parents. They insisted that their daughter was an obedient girl who heeded their curfew and would never intentionally break their rules or attempt to run away. The police captain agreed, stating in a newspaper article that Candace had too fine of a background in her school and personal life to be a runaway. She was well-loved, quiet, shy, and very studious. So a 13-state alarm was broadcast, and more than 150 people, dogs, and helicopter pilots spent days searching a 5-mile radius of the woods. Over 10,000 flyers were handed out by volunteers with her beautiful face and whom they all called Candy. Then, a month after her disappearance, 18 miles away, 2 fishermen traveling along Neshaminy Creek made a gruesome discovery. They found her moldering body naked, except for her panties, stuffed into a black canvas sack near Worthington Mill Road. When investigators arrived at the scene, they also found a bra 2 miles away from her body. It matched the one Candy was wearing the night she vanished. Police were stumped. A pathologist couldn't find anything that pointed to a cause of death. There were no injuries on her body, and although Candy was found just wearing underwear, the pathologist found no evidence of sexual assault. That is so weird to me. The sack she was crammed in resembled an Army-issued duffel bag, so the police requested military assistance. And no luck. Investigators handed out more than 8,000 flyers with a picture of the sack, seeking a lead, and none came. The search for Candy's killer was intense. Even on the day of her funeral, police were there conducting lie detector tests on people of interest. Efforts to find Candy's killer continued for some time, but eventually waned. After a few years, her murder found a permanent spot among Philadelphia's cold cases. The break in the case came in 2005 when NBC featured Candace's cold case on a newscast. A viewer called police to report that she believed the sack the fisherman found her body in was her laundry bag. She stated that she had given the bag to her then-husband in the hours after Candace disappeared. According to this woman, a car containing 2 men pulled up at her home in the hours after Candy disappeared. Her husband approached the vehicle, spoke with the men inside, then asked to use her laundry bag. She agreed, handed off the bag. All 3 men left in the car, and she never saw that bag again. Investigators jump-started the old case and went after clues with a vengeance. And they spent years tracking down old witnesses, many of whom had since died. But in March 2010, they finally pieced together an account of what they believe happened on that night. According to the police, Candace left her home to visit her boyfriend. And instead of catching the bus, she either uncharacteristically accepted a ride from an acquaintance or was abducted while crossing the parking lot to get to the bus stop. The men had a history of drug use, and one was known to inject drugs into animals and people without their consent. Candace was taken to a wooded area where she was forcibly injected with a controlled substance against her will, an overdose of drugs which killed her. Panic set in, and the men stuffed her body into that laundry bag, tying it around her neck and using her yellow sweater to cover her head. Then they left her body in a secluded section of the creek where she lay partially submerged, undetected, for nearly 5 weeks until the fishermen found her. There was a press conference held to reveal these findings. The police announced they would not disclose the names of the men they believed killed Candace. The suspects, they said, had all died between 1975 and 2000. These men are dead and beyond the reach of human justice, and since we cannot charge and prosecute them, they will never have the opportunity to defend themselves, and it would accordingly be wrong to disclose their names, they said, quote unquote. If you have such strong evidence, the killers' names should be printed, in my personal opinion. That family needed some kind of closure. And Candy's father died 4 months after his daughter's disappearance. He died sitting in his car, behind the wheel of his parked car, outside the fire station where he worked, next to the corner where Candy would catch the bus. Natural causes, the coroner said, but he was only 49. I think it was probably from the extreme stress from what happened to his little girl, and I also know he was receiving crank calls saying they were going to get his other girl, his other daughter. That's when he died. He couldn't take it anymore. He died not knowing what happened to Candace, and so did Candace's mother, Candace Lynn, Elmer, and Evelyn. Evelyn wrote a poem about the search for her daughter that was published in the Northeast Times. Another night before us, another day has passed. No laughter in the house now. How long will it all last? Oh God, where's our Candy? Her radio's not blaring. Her books are all in place. Her stuffed animals stand ready to welcome her embrace. Oh God, where's our Candy? Authorities celebrated the sleuthing that led to the killer's identification, saying that solving the case gives closure in some way to the lone survivor, her older sister, and to the hundreds of law enforcement officers who tried so hard to find her killers. Detectives said that the case proves dedication in solving cold cases no matter how old they are, and they urge all citizens with any knowledge of other unsolved murders to always call their local police because there's no statute of limitation on murder. Candace, Elmer, Evelyn, your story is never going to be forgotten. May you all sleep in peace. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and God bless.